Great day for our music. It's been a good day to be here. The junior high, senior high, you stay today. You don't get to leave. Thought we had that covered. Megan had already told us when we hired her that she would be gone, but the person covering was sick. So anyway, so you get me. And a quick announcement. Everything really starts at 1. I think I said probably afterwards, you're welcome to stay for Sue. Everything starts at 1 downstairs. At least that's what we're going with. Sound okay? So that's what we'll go with. And secondly, some of you probably have heard this sad news. Others have not. But early yesterday morning or late Friday night, Dr. Kidwell, R.J. Kidwell passed. Dr. Kidwell was an active part of the Christian church, taught at our seminary, and has made a great influence on Christianity. So keep the Kidwell family in your prayers. We never know how much influence that will make. At 10 years in the ministry, one of the prize students that Dr. Kidwell ended up having, does anyone know? Was Jack Cottrell. And the two men have been educators throughout history in the Christian church. So we never know how God will work. But RJ got to meet and see everything that he had talked about and taught about. It was his blessing, our loss. Today I want to continue on waiting on God. Today it's about where is your focus? It's about focus on how we should have our focus. I think today more than any other time in history, people have to be multitaskers. You have to be able to do a multiple group of things. You're always juggling one thing or another. Our focus, instead of like our grandparents maybe, they're being pulled in a half dozen different directions, our focus is being pulled in 1,000 different directions almost regularly. There's family, there's work, there's life, there's activities, there's your education, there's church, there's soccer. Yesterday, I got to go watch a soccer game down in Hartford. Went down to watch the grandsons play. That was an exciting day. And those little kids can be violent. You don't get that ball kicked, you just kick them in the leg. So I'm glad I never did play soccer. I don't know how you grow up to walk. But yeah, we got to watch that. That was pretty interesting. Now here's the point though. I learned something. As a grandparent, of course, we have our lawn chairs and we're sitting back watching all that's going on. So I used it. I thought, I'm going to test my sermon out. So I become a people watcher. So here's what I saw. I saw people watching soccer. I saw a little bit of soccer. I saw cell phones. That's multitasking because so many. Now I'm ashamed to use my cell phone because it flips up, beam me up. So ever since Star Trek, I thought I had the prize. Now people do this thing with their phone. But anyway, I saw them talking and texting. No one talks anymore. Everyone texts. Now, like I've told you many times, you're welcome to text me. Just text me as often as you want. Just don't wait on a reply or you'll get hungry. But there were cell phones, there was texting, there was some cheering that was going on, there was visiting with friends, and then our hour was up. Boom, the hour's up. You know what takes place next? Like well-trained people, we get up, we grab our lawn chair, we head to the car to the next assignment. And in the meantime, you're walking and texting and talking or whatever it might be. We are multitaskers. Cell phone in one hand, lawn chair in the other hand, and we've got it down like a science. We are multitaskers. Now, you're laughing because it sounds familiar. I want you to think about getting ready for church this morning. How easy was that? And all Deb had to do was get me ready. So sometimes it's not easy. I'll say, does this match this? Now, she's still half asleep, so I hope it looks okay together. But yeah, we're always multitasking. But note, even though we've got a lot of different things going on, no one's really focused today. There's no real focus in our world. Last week I mentioned to you, I preached on the fact that it's not about you, folks. It's about God. It's about God. Well, today we're going to address some of the problems that we have, some of the issues of why we stay focused on objects instead of on the provider. We are focused on objects rather than the provider. Let's start out with some that we all have, some basic needs of life. I call it focus on our daily needs. Matthew chapter 8, verses 18 through 22. When Jesus saw the crowd around him, he gave orders to cross to the other side of the lake. Then a teacher of the law came to him and said, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus replied, "Foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." Now, I've cut that one short, so I want to go back and finish it for you in Matthew chapter 8, and it's going to say this. Another disciple said to him, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." But Jesus told him, "Follow me and let the dead bury their own dead." We live a life that is so diversified today. There is just so much responsibility, and we all have it. Whether we like it, whether we don't, it is not our Father's world. Whenever many of us were to the age when we was growing up, life was pretty simple. You're going to get up, you're going to go to work, you're going to do your job, you're going to come home, you're going to do the farm chores, and then you're going to rest and start the next day very similar. You may have kids or things that you had to do with, but you didn't have so many multiple things. Today I want to divide your life into three areas, and it's just a very simple division. I want you to think about life, family, and work. See, today I have to focus on my now responsibilities. I need that security. My now responsibilities. My now responsibilities today are life, family, and work. First, realize that there's nothing bad to be said about these. These are good. These are good things. So I don't want someone to say, "Well, wow, he's being negative. We've all got those issues." You're right. We all have those issues. We all have them. And life, let's start with it. Life is a gift of God. Life, let's talk about our personal needs a little bit. For most of us, we have these needs that we deal with regularly. We have some responsibilities. We might talk about our health. Many of us, you worry about your health. You think about your health. As a diabetic, I try to eat right. As long as it comes in Oreos, I eat very good, quite truthfully. But as most diabetics, we try to watch what we eat. We try to be very close about it. We try to guard that. Maybe in your health, you think about your physical needs, the physical aspect. I have lost 10,000 pounds on diets. I could have been a big man if I'd never been on a diet. I could have really been a giant of a man. Well, yeah, we all focus on those type of things. Or maybe our mental health. Mental health. We hear so much about mental health today that most of us take some precautions. We try to keep our mind more active. You do word games or things in this order that perhaps your parents and grandparents didn't do. In your own personal life, you're going to have various interests. And those interests aren't wrong. Please let me emphasize that. Let's talk about hobbies. Well, everyone knows that I really like cars. It's a hobby of mine. I enjoy it very much. Maybe you like sports. Maybe you are a sports fanatic. Deb knows all their names and all their batting averages for the Cincinnati Reds, and they're in last place. Think what someone does that likes first place. So, sorry, Deb, couldn't pass that up. Yeah, so you get the idea. There are people who just know every ball player, even though you can't name a single lineman that plays on a football team. They know all about the football teams. They have that great interest in sports. Maybe it's TV. Maybe it's TV. Whenever I do a funeral service for a family I don't know, I usually say, "Well, did mom or dad have a favorite TV program?" And normally, "Well, don't call during the soap operas." And they'll give me one or two soap operas I didn't even know existed. Because she's not going to talk to you if you call in that time. So they have that personal interest. Perhaps there's those activities. Once again, there may be exercise. Maybe you study or read a lot. Maybe you'd just like to have more personal time, where you just kind of sit back in your porch swing and you look out and just appreciate all that God has done. Folks, that's life. Every one of us are involved in it. Your life may vary a little bit from that, but somewhere along that it touched you. That's who you are. That's life. Each one of us, whether we like it or not, there's those similarities that are going to be there. The next thing that I had down was family. Family, again, nothing wrong with this. It comes in stages. It'll come in stages. First of all, there's that spouse. I heard an illustration on the way in today. I thought it was just really great. Preacher got up and he said, I want you to know I didn't go to this. He was preaching at his alma mater. I didn't go to the school I wanted to go to. I want you to know that I didn't have the parents that I'd like to have had. I want you to know I didn't marry the woman that I wanted to marry. And she was sitting there. And a gasp went. He said, God gave me better in all the occasions. Boy, he dug that out in a hurry, didn't he? So that was one smart preacher. He dug it out of that one in a hurry. But the truth of the matter is our family, it comes in stages. There's that spouse, that person that we're going to share our life with and going to share their life. Then there's those children that come along. And they start out so sweet and then they end up the way you are. It just happens. That's life. We see it happen. And then there's grandchildren and you drive 3 hours to watch an hour soccer game and hoping someone can at least kick the ball. You know? So it's just part of life. That's just who we are. So we have our family. But now, family is a gift of God. The scripture said that God put us in families because of loneliness. Puts us into families. So yesterday, we enjoyed seeing our family. Just like you enjoy your family, there's those occasions when you just get together as a family and it's a good time. Then there's work. Now, we can't pass work up. We all have to work. It's a part of life. You got an income, a career. You got those likes and dislikes about it. But it's part of our life. And it's an important part of our life. I don't think I would want to imagine life without work. I like getting up and coming to work. I've told you many times, I'm one of those fortunate people that never have to work because I like what I do so well. So whenever I get here, I'm in good shape. Things are pretty good. And if you've been in my office, you know there's a stash of Orioles right behind my desk. So life is good. I'm just at home whenever I'm at work. I really like what I do. I'm blessed. Not everyone does, but it's still a part of your life. I can't imagine sitting at home and not having a reason to get up and get going. That would be very tough for all of us, and we know that. All of these are areas of our daily needs that we focus on day in and day out. We have some focus upon these day in and day out. Along with these, then we try to work in many other side items, including God and church. So how can we manage all these daily needs better, more efficiently than we are? Our focus is, in the example I've given you, are torn between 3 areas, not 3 things, 3 areas. And each area demands its own attention. And it's hard sometimes to determine what to do. I'm going to ask you to try to refocus onto one item. I want you to focus on the daily provider. The daily provider. Luke chapter 12, verses 29 through 31. And do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink. Do not worry about it, for the pagan world runs after such things, and your Father knows that you need them. But seek the kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. Seek His kingdom. It said, I don't want you to be so focused on what you're going to eat or drink daily life. I don't want you to be so focused on that we forget where we're at. See, the Father knows my daily needs. My daily needs. My Heavenly Father knows that I have needs that are incorporated into my family. My Heavenly Father knows that I have personal needs. Needs for some mic time. And my Heavenly Father knows that I have work needs. There's only one way to get away from having so many multiple focus in our life or being pulled in so many different directions. Don't focus on the need. Now everyone hear me, because this is hard. Don't focus on the need. Focus on the provider. Focus on the provider. What would God have me do here during my family time? I'm focused upon what the provider wants me to do during that family time. I'm focused upon, if I'm watching that soccer game, watching those kids run up down that field, God's wanting me to focus on being the best granddad that I can be at that time. So if I'm focused on Him, that's going to fall in place. Whenever I come to work, I try to focus on God and see where God is leading the day. And if I am focused on Him, I become the best minister that I can be. And if there's times that's just mic time, if I find that I am focused on God, my mic time is so much better than if I'm trying to focus on the hobby, the interest, or whatever it might be. But if I'm focused upon God, there's times that I can sit back and say, Father, thank you for this moment. Thank you for this occasion. Throughout our life, we have those special things. Trenton's here today. I'm so glad. I love this boy. And there's just so many times that I'm able to say, thank you that we have this moment. This boy is after his granddad's own heart. He loves cars. Ever since he's a little kid, he's been under cars, taking transmissions out or one thing or another. It's been a joy. The other day he got Grandpa under a car and then he had to pull me out because I couldn't find my way out. My equilibrium went nuts. So fortunately, he's got to be a big kid too. But it's a whole lot easier to focus on saying thank you that we have this moment in time together instead of being so lost in that moment that I miss it, or so distracted that I miss it. So I want all of you to take just a moment and think about these three areas that I've given you. How much personal time are you losing in your own life, in your own family, because you're sitting there thinking, what am I going to do with this time? Am I going to watch football? Am I going to watch baseball? Am I going to get out and do this? Am I going to do that? And we get so wrapped up in trying to focus on things that we miss, God, thank you for this moment in time. Let me enjoy it. Lead me through it. Help me with it. We're all on different levels, but life for all of us is made up of family, work, and self. And we have to remember that it's a gift, and we are focused upon it. That here's a revelation. God knows that He's given you this gift. He set up the program. It's not your program. He set it up. So focus on Him in an undivided manner, whether it's in your personal life, whether it's in your family life, or whether it's at work. If you focus on Him, He said, and all these things I know you need, and He will help us meet them. He will help us fulfill them. Our abilities, our priorities, our happiness, they can all be served better whenever we're focused on God. See, our life is about Him. See, it's not about me, and it's not about you. It's about Him. So if I focused in on Him, my family life is better, my work life is better, my personal life is better. But now there's another step to this that often really messes us up. We get focused on daily stress. James chapter 4, verses 14 through 16, it says, why do you not even know what will happen tomorrow? Why you do not even know what will happen tomorrow? What is your life? You're a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or do that. As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil. We develop tunnel vision. Tunnel vision. Focus has become a tunnel, and that's all we're seeing. We all know people who are suffering from deep, deep stress. Not just the daily stress of life, because we all have that. Family, work, self, we all have that. Not just that daily life, but stress that is created by a life out of balance. By a life out of balance. Not seeing the whole picture, but just seeing this part of it. Stress. here and now. This stress can be caused by fear, obsessions, failure, sin, disappointment, maybe many things. So on top of our daily lives, now we add this debilitating stress. Again, folks, it is a focus problem. A debilitating stress is a focus problem. So you start thinking about some of those things that you are stressed over. Things that I've become so obsessed with making a living that I forget there's two other areas of my life. Or I've become so obsessed with just taking care of the family that I forget to make a living. Or I've become so obsessed with sports that I forget life all around me. Or I've become so obsessed over cars that I forget everything else. We can do that. And most of us probably have some degree of it, where we have had some portion of it in our life. Now, hopefully we're doing better about getting a handle on that as we grow older and as we mature and as we develop in the faith. Maybe we have got a failure in our past that just keeps gnawing at us. Maybe there's this disappointment. Maybe you thought you were up for promotion and someone else got it. That's always disappointing. Maybe there's a disappointment where you just feel that I could have been so much more in life. I just really didn't accomplish everything that I wanted to. I've had so many who have said, Mike, you accomplished at 37 what you'd already accomplished at 24. I come here at 24. I returned at 37. And you accomplished that at 24. Well, where could you have gone with if you hadn't done that? I bring that up because I had a preacher just a few weeks ago tell me the same thing. The point is, folks, I come exactly where I think God wanted me. It wasn't about trying to accomplish great things for me. It's about Him. And this is my great thing. You know, I can say I'm not serving the church I wanted. I can say I'm serving one better that God had trusted me with. I'm thrilled about where we're at and how we proceed and what we're doing. We get so tied up in these other things. Each of us have added stress to our life that we don't have to have. We don't have to have. I always get a kick out of weddings. Dale and Nancy got married here the other day, and Dale's got I'm going to use it as an illustration. He had a nice ring for Nancy, and I looked at it and said, this is very nice. And he has a rubber band. Well, he calls it a ring, but it's a rubber band. So I turned around. Now, you got to remember, they're stressed. They're standing there just rigid. It was fun. But anyway, they're just standing there rigid. And I turn around and go, look, he's getting a rubber band. And so everyone just relaxed. Everyone relaxed. We get so stressed over things because we've got this. We've got so locked in right here that this is all we can see. See, I can't see these people. We're so locked in. We have stress. So how do we do that? How do we correct that? Let's go back to focusing on the daily provider. In Psalms 57, now that's going to be on the screen, but I want you to turn to that if you would. This is an important psalm, and I want you to see the whole thing. We're going to use the whole thing, but you just got to see it. Psalms chapter 57. King David, this is a psalm of King David. King David has been ordained king. He was a young man. We know that he had served under Saul. We're aware of all of that and that he had done well. He had been athletic. He had been a giant slayer. There's just so many things that King David has been able to accomplish. It's just been fantastic. And now Samuel has come and God has selected David to be king over Israel. But Saul's not too partial to that idea because Saul's the king. So he's going to, as he realizes that God is blessing David and Saul is diminishing. In fact, Saul even had all the priests put to death that had assisted David. Had them put to death in battle of fighting David. Now David is on the run. David and Saul's son were best of friends. They loved one another, Jonathan. They loved one another, cared for each other. And the son, Saul's son, said, now, if it's not good, I will signal you. And he did. And David's on the run. David goes and he hides in a cave. Hides in a cave. Cave will probably end up being central headquarters, but he hides in a cave because Saul is looking to murder him. Now, while in that cave, this psalm that's where this is at. Have mercy on me, oh God, have mercy on me. For in you my soul takes refuge. Man, that's powerful. Y'all get that? In you my soul takes refuge. Now, I don't know about you, but there's been a few people who haven't liked me. Well, there's been quite a few when it really comes down to it. You either like me or you don't like me, and some of you are both here. So it just happens. Now, that's stressful. And if you get tunnel vision and that's all you can concentrate on, you're in trouble. Now, take note of what he said. Have mercy on me, O God, have mercy on me, for my soul takes refuge. I will take refuge in the shadow of your wings until the disaster is past. I'm going to get lost in the Lord. I'm going to get lost in the Lord. Where else can I go? What else can I do? I have to focus on my provider. I need help. That's what he's telling them. I need help. Verse 2. I cry out to God Most High, to God who fulfills his purpose for me. Wait, God's got this plan for me. I cry out to him. His purpose for me, and he's going to fulfill it. He sends from the heavens and saves me, rebuking those who hotly pursue me. God sends his love and his faithfulness. I have to focus on the provider. See, the Father knows my daily stress. If you're doing your bulletin, the Father knows my daily stress. My soul takes refuge. God is not far from me. He knows my fears. He knows my obsessions. He knows my failures. He knows the sin. He knows my disappointments. So as David is hiding in a cave, he's focusing on the provider. Let's go on. I am in the midst of lions. I lie among ravenous beasts, men whose teeth are spears and arrows, whose tongues are sharp words. We always have those around us who would just eat us up, tear us up. He said, but even though I'm in the midst of them, know what he says in verse 5. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be over the earth. So while he's focused, he knows that all around him are those like King Saul and King Saul's men who are wanting to put him to death. King Saul has put thousands to death looking for David. And David knows this. Abimelech, the whole family, was destroyed. I believe it was around 80. Priest, the tribe of Levi, were destroyed. One escaped and come and warned David. And David said, because of me, your whole family has died. That's stress. That's stress. And I think my stress is bad. That's terrible stress. Because of me, he said. Even with all those burdens, he turns to God. Be exalted, God. Be exalted. Be lifted up. Be praised. May the glory be yours. Wow, folks, that's just good stuff. If you've not read the 57th Psalm for a while, circle it. It's important stuff. David focused on God and let God take the matter. See, it's not about me. It's about God. So we have to keep our priorities straight. Let's finish the psalm. The Father deserves our daily prayers. Let's start. Verse 7. My heart is steadfast, O God. My heart is steadfast. I will sing and make music. Awake, my soul. Awake, harp and lyre. I will awaken the dawn. I will praise you, O Lord, among the nations. I will sing of you among the people. For great is your love, reaching to the heavens. Your faithfulness reaches to the skies. Be exalted, O God. Show the heavens. Let your glory be over all the earth. Wow. I'm in a cave. That's a hole in the ground. I'm in a pit. Things aren't very good. All around me. He said, keep your priorities straight. Focus on God. Folks, if we're focusing on our life, focusing on our family, focusing on our job, those are all divided. But if you're focusing on God, everything else will be provided. It's either divided or provided. And that's where your focus will be. He said, I have a steadfast heart. In other words, my heart has not weakened because of all of this around me. Because of all that I've done. David made his mistakes. He made some doozies. He made some mistakes. But he was focused on the Father. And everything else come into place. Everything else would take care of itself. And even whenever his men said, as they left the cave, he's going to go and fight the Philistines. And even as that was to take part, the men would say, are you sure that's what we're going to do? We're already in a place we don't want to be. And David goes off and wins a battle. But what did he do before they ever did that? He went and consulted with God. And God said, I'll give you the victory. So folks, that brings us down to today. We are either focused on objects of our desire or on our provider. I'm asking you to focus on the provider today. On the provider. I'm asking you to realize, and everyone take note of this, everyone in this building should hear this, God will give you the victory. He will do it. Those things in your life that are just beating you up, He will give you the victory. He will help you take off the blinders so that you no longer have tunnel vision and we can see the beauties of all that God has done. And how God wants to work in my life like He's never worked before. He will give you that. He will open your heart to be able to be used like you've never been used before. He'll put a new spring in your step. He will give you the opportunity to succeed. It's up to you. It's up to you. Will you all please stand as we have our invitation?